Okay, so Angus Beef the Elf, a gravedigger, when last we were adventuring with this character, he was in Bison Hills, and he assisted in stopping an orc horde from invading the town, or just a group of orc bandits, and basically you left your group and have moved on from there and have been wandering through the fields, plains, and hills of the surrounding district to find your new home.
I've been having an inner searching soulful time.
Can you increase
Find
your
me the
mic?
elf.
Can you? I can barely hear you.
Oh, you barely hear me?
Yeah.
I'll give it a go. Does this sound any better? Can you hear that?
A little bit, yes.
A little bit better?
Yeah.
Put it on max now. Is that
Okay.
better?
Yep.
I can bring the microphone a bit closer.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yep. So I've been looking for the inner elf.
Yes. So you've been wandering around, and you weren't really concentrating very well, and you find yourself underneath the fangs and the claws of a giant spider. Basically, out of nowhere, you are now under this giant spider, and before you know what's happening, you're being rolled up in a web and being dragged through the forest floor into the depths of the dark forest that you were kind of avoiding while you were there. Is there anything you would like to do?
What's a tangled web he's weaved? It's obviously is it as big as what you could describe as Shelob level spider, or is it a little bit smaller than that?
In terms of size, it would be about size 6, so it's a little bit larger than you.
Okay. Can I loosen any of my arms, or am I sort of bound up very tight?
Well, you can attempt to physically try to break out of it. Do you have any kind of dagger or anything?
I've got a hand axe and a spade and a long sword, so I don't think any of those
Okay.
are very...
So it will be a physical check, and the difficulty will be 2.
Okay. I'll grab my handy two-sided dice,
Okay.
and I failed my physical check.
All right. So you are quite bound up in the... So the spider has sort of dragged you deep. You've kind of lost your way as to where you actually are. The sun is being blocked out by the canopy of this forest. And eventually you are tied up in a tree and you're hanging down in this spider's web. And you notice that there are a lot of other dead creatures that have been sucked dry and desiccated.
Husks.
In husks of former living beings strewn about this clearing. And you also notice a lot of smaller baby spiders around.
Are they looking hungry?
You could do a mental check to find out.
I'm just going to make that assumption. Okay. Can I move myself and sort of make my cocoon act like a pendulum?
Okay, so you get an additional dice for physical check. Same difficulty.
Okay. And I get one of those is a success.
Okay, so you are able to now move around within this husk that you're in. What is the name for that? What do they call it? The special name for it, like pupa. So you're able to.
Let's call it a cocoon.
A cocoon, yes, that's it. So you're able to move around within this cocoon, and you will be able to. So you can actually get hold of your weapons and things like that now. Okay. But you're still physically within the cocoon.
Well, I don't think the spade is going to be much help. I'll probably try and see if I can pull my longsword far enough out of its scabbard so some edge of the blade can find contact with the webbing.
Okay. So do a physical check again. This time it is difficulty 4, but you gain 2 extra dice for the
Okay.
for the
level 4 will mean
sorry, difficulty level 2. Sorry, difficulty level 2.
Okay.
But you'll get the extra 2 dice, so you should have 4 or 5 dice now.
Okay, so are we talking D12s?
D4s. D4s.
D4s. Hang on a sec. Let me just look at something. Difficulty level and.
So
yep, okay.
while you are moving around, you do notice that the spiders are moving in on your position.
Okay, so I better act quickly. How many dice was it in the end?
I think you got 4. Do you have a bonus on physical?
I have a single bonus on physical.
Yeah, so you get 5 dice then.
5 dice. Okay. Damn, and I'm after a 1.
That's right.
Gee whiz. Oh yes, I got 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you slice your way out of the cocoon and you drop to the ground, sword at the ready. And essentially you get a surprise attack if you want to use it, or of course you can run away if you don't want to attack.
Okay. Do I have time to assess my surroundings?
You would take the round to do that, yes.
Okay.
But that brings us into the normal combat round.
Yes. Okay. Is the large spider present, or is it just the hatchling?
The large spider, from your last estimation, is very nearby. Okay. What's around now are the little spiders. They're about size 1, and there's probably about 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. And I've got time to either slash them with the longsword or hot-footed out of there.
That's right.
But I don't know what direction to go in at this stage.
That's right.
Okay. I think I'll fight. I'll quickly slash 1 or 2 out of the way.
All right.
Because that's, you want action.
That's right. Action, adventure, and spiders.
That's it. Okay, so let me try and work something out. Calculate your combat score. My size. Okay, am I a 1/6 of the size? So am I 6 times bigger than the hatchlings?
No, so your size is not going to give you a bonus because you're not smaller than them, you're larger than them.
Oh, yes, absolutely,
yep.
Yes. I was just testing you. Okay.
Yep.
My positioning. Now.
So I will give you drop from above. So that's +2.
I've dropped out of the cocoon
onto
the ground. Okay.
Yep.
All right, and basically into the middle of these hatchlings. Is that pretty
correct? Yeah, they were milling around on the ground, and you've kind of dropped down on top of them.
Okay, so my positioning becomes.
And you get surprise, which is +3. So you. So you +5 as is 6. So
+5 on top of my 6, so it's D4s.
That's correct.
And my longsword, I have a +1 bonus. I've got a bonus of +1, and I'm not sure if that relates to the facet I've already got, the rank that I've already got filled in, or it's an addition. I think it's probably just the rank I've got filled in. So that'll be 1 extra dice.
Correct.
So it'll be 2 D4s.
Correct.
And I miss. But I did roll a 2 on one of them, so if I can use a combat value...
a story value, yes.
Yep. One of those 2s to a 1.
Okay.
That would
correct. So
that would involve a hit.
Yeah, so you hit one of the small spiders. You are 5 times its size, so you do 5 injuries to it. I'm just going to do a protection check for it. And it does not save, so it's near death.
Okay. So where did you work out that I would do 5 times the injury?
Because the spiders are size 1 and you're size 5.
Yeah, size 5. Okay,
Yeah.
so that modifies the injury.
Yeah.
The injuries. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you would normally do 1 injury to someone the same size as you, but because you're 5 times the size, you do 5 times the injuries. Okay.
Right.
So
Yep.
so you got 1 small spider now that is near death. It's the next round because it's a surprise round. They don't get they don't get a chance. So now it's your turn again.
Okay, I'm going to sort of try and assess my surroundings.
Okay.
See whereabouts.
So you can do you can.
I'm looking for an exit.
Okay. So do a senses check difficulty 1.
1, that's a D2. Yes.
Okay. So you notice that this whole sort of clearing is really almost like a cave made out of spider webs. So there's trees that have been matted together and there's leaves covering it. So it looks like it's part of the forest, but it's really actually like a sphere that you're inside. And you can see an opening. Yeah, you can see an opening that's about half your size. You'd be able to run and sort of duck through. That you'd have to go through the spiderlings to get to that point. You also know that the tree you were hanging from is kind of in the middle of this, and the large spider is somewhere in the branches of the tree. You can hear it.
Above.
You can hear it moving around. It is above you, yes.
Okay. Right. My feet. Does it feel spongy?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to. Do my feet stick to the floor at all? Does it feel sort of a little bit?
A little bit tacky. I wouldn't say it's like you can't move, but it's a little bit of tack when you're moving around on it.
Okay, I'm going to, with the longsword, slash at the ground in front of my feet, hoping to cut an exit through.
Okay.
God knows what's going to be underneath, but
do a physical check difficulty 4.
D8s.
Correct.
That's 2 D8s. This is going to be difficult. Okay. I've got 2 story value tokens on me now.
Correct.
Remaining, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how can I help my chances? What's the best way to apply a story value token?
You can reduce the difficulty down by 1. You can re-roll the roll if you want to, or you can change a 2 to a 1. Or you can add a dice. Okay. So it's really adding, subtracting, Yeah.
I think I'll just... I don't think either one of those... I think I just need raw dumb luck.
Okay.
To succeed. I'm hoping to get... No. Unfortunately, I got the lowest number I got was a 3. So...
Okay, so the sword just kind of like moves through it, and there's just a whole plume of leaves that spray out. And this attracts the attention of the large spider, and you can sense that it is now basically right above you as it's moved around in the branches of the tree. So you essentially have this next round left, but the 3 little spiderlings have to go. So the 1 spider has to do an emotion check, and his emotion is difficulty is 5. So difficulty 5, we are looking at D8s, sorry, D10s. And its mother is still around, so it gets an extra dice. And it fails. So the 1 little spiderling that's injured is scurrying away, never to be seen again.
On its 2 legs.
And the other 2 get a chance to attack. So they are 1/5 the size, so get +5 for that. And you were occupied. Yeah. So you're occupied, so that makes it 6s, 7s. because of the base dice. And they get a single attack each. So one of them hits you, and the other one does not. So you need to do a protection value check, and you five times the dice.
I'm sorry, what does 5 times the dice mean?
Because they're 5 times smaller than you, you multiply your dice by 5.
Oh, okay.
So are you wearing any kind of armor?
I have padded armor, which gives me a PV of 1.
Okay, so PV of 1, their damage would be piercing. So yeah, PV of 1. So you roll D20s. Yes. You roll 5 of them.
I've got 5 D20s. Probably have 5 D20s in my collection. Four. I've got 4. It's pretty good though. Here we go. And one more. No, they got me.
Okay, so you take 1 injury from the small spider.
Yep.
It's jumped up and bitten you on the knee.
Little bugger.
And the other one just sort of bit your boot, but was unable to pierce through. All right, so it's the next round now. The large spider gets to go first because it has a higher initiative than you do.
It's no good.
So, it will get dropped from above. There's 2. You have injuries, but that doesn't count at this point. And you attacked, so that makes it 4. Base makes 5 is D6s.
And how many?
It's... you don't worry about that. That's up to me. Okay.
Oh dear. Better take a drink after this.
All right. So it's your turn.
Okay. Now, if I decide to hightail it, I will get attacked again as I run away.
If you
It'll be like an attack of opportunity sort of thing.
If you flee, so you run away, you turn your back to them and you run. Yep. Whereas if you can withdraw, which means you basically move away while facing them.
Okay.
But you're not running at speed, in other words.
Sorry, couldn't you just say that again? Sorry.
Okay. So if you just turn tail and run, you're fleeing. So you turn your back to them and you're running away. So they can actually attack you from behind. Or you can withdraw, which means you walk backwards while facing them and you're still brandishing your sword so that you're not being attacked without, so they would get a huge amount of bonuses from being behind you. That's all.
Okay. And how does reach then work in that situation?
So reach, if you've got a reach weapon, you can reach further as an attack.
Okay, so but if I withdraw, does that mean they're out of?
You will move out of their reach now if you withdraw. So you'd move all the way to the entrance. So you'd be able to withdraw all the way to the little thing and be ducked down to almost go outside.
Okay. And my longsword actually does have a reach in its notes.
Yes.
So that means I can withdraw and
so
give a bit of a stab at the same time.
Yes, you can do that. Yes.
Okay,
so you can choose. At the moment, you are within the spider's reach distance. So you can actually take as a quick action. You can step your reach. So you step out of the spider's attack range, attack them, and then withdraw.
Okay, that's.
So you'd be able to get in an attack and get out. Yes.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
All right.
Okay, so I'll go for Mama.
Okay, so you're smaller than the opponent, so you get 1. Your base makes 2.
Okay. So I'm smaller than opponent. So that your emotional state, I'm okay. Target situation, they're pretty much. Are they unarmed?
Are you attacking the small ones or the big one?
The big one.
The big one. So yeah, the big one is considered unarmed, so that will make it 3.
Okay.
And it also attacked, so that makes it 5. So D6s.
And sorry, what was the last one?
They attacked in the previous turn.
Okay. Okay. Whereabouts is that on the chart?
The target situation. Your target attacked
situation.
someone during the current round or the previous round.
Okay. All right. Target attacked someone during. So that basically means because they're attacking, they're in the fight. That makes them.
They've made themselves vulnerable by attacking. Yes.
Vulnerable. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, got it. So it's unarmed, attacked. Base score. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and what was the other one?
You're at 5, so D6s.
D6s. Okay.
Yeah. And they're unarmed is the one.
Unarmed, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've got 2 D6s basically.
Yep.
So it's my weapon proficiency +1.
Yep.
And I got a hit.
Excellent. So the spider itself, I'll just check if it fails to save, so it takes 1 damage.
Okay. Now, is that just the one? I'm smaller than the spider.
Correct.
How does that affect the amount of injury?
You still just do 1 injury. You can never you can never do less than 1 injury.
Less than 1.
But they get a bonus to their protection because you are smaller than them. But you're only marginally smaller, so it's not a massive change.
Okay. Yeah. So the situation would be if they're really quite large and you're small, they would mainly the blows that you strike would just bounce off them.
Correct. As the spiders, the little spiders, you had 5 times protection dice, but you're not wearing a lot of armor, and you weren't in cover, and you weren't. So that's why it was D20s.
Yeah.
But if you had cover and you were wearing plate armor and you had dodge skills and whatever, then it would be like D4s.
Yep.
Yeah. And you'd have 5 of them.
Okay.
Okay. So you find yourself in the doorway, and the little spiderlings are kind of hanging back, for the big mama is now sort of moving towards you. But it's a little bit apprehensive because you've actually damaged it. So it's going to basically sort of stare you down. It's going to see what you're up to because you're still facing it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to look around again, assess the situation. Can I see outside the entrance?
You've got your back to the entrance.
Okay. Could I look like between my feet and see if there's anything?
Yeah, so you go as a sort of a quick action, you can kind of look over your shoulder and take a quick glance of what's happening outside. So senses check difficulty 3.
3 is a D6. My senses, I don't have any bonuses, so it's a single D6.
Yep.
No, I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, so you do see some daylight, but that's about it.
Okay. So, I mean, can I see just at my level, sort of upper branches of trees, or was it more like ground level stuff?
Ground level.
Okay, so I'm basically trying to work out, am I very high in the air or am I close to the ground?
You pretty much are on the ground.
Okay, alright. Okay. When do we move again?
Sorry?
Do we move again? Do I move?
Yeah, it's your turn, so you can choose what you want to do.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, can I continue to withdraw out the entrance? I'll duck down and shuffle back outside. So
you're walking backwards out of this. It's a short tunnel. It's about 3 meters long, and you kind of walk and you emerge out into the cool air of the forest canopy, and there's little shafts of light coming down. you notice that there are multiple different ways that you can get out of this area, and you see this huge kind of ball of tree matter and branches and leaves and all kinds of stuff in this sort of sphere that is very well camouflaged within the canopy of the forest.
And I was just in that.
You were just in that, yes. So
Okay.
you can see coming through the entrance, the large spider is kind of, you know, with bringing its legs in under, and it's sort of pushing its way through this sphincter of the sphere thing, and it is emerging out on. You can just see the sort of dripping poisonous fangs.
Sounds great. Does time allow for me to ignite a flame?
So what do you have that's...
in oil.
Yeah, so you've got a lantern...
I've got a lantern plus oil.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking, I'm hoping if I can judge it, I could light the lamp and then throw it into the cocoon, and hopefully create a conflagration that'll give me enough time to escape.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a story value point. All right.
Yep.
So you get an extra token, and you get an XP point towards the next story value rank.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I should have been writing down a couple of hits. I got 2 hits, didn't I?
Correct.
With my sword, by the way. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
And you got the physical ones as well. Don't forget those.
Yeah. I got one. I think I passed 1 physical.
So you can use a complete action to use the lamp as a ranged weapon to throw it. You want to go through into the entrance, right?
Well, I just want to get it ignited, and then.
Oh, you just want to
straight into the entrance. Yeah.
Straight into the entrance. Okay. All right. So it will be
cocktails like.
Okay. So it's I need you to roll a d6 on a 1 to 3. It hits the spider. On a 4 to 6, it'll go inside.
Okay. It hits the spider.
Okay. So, all right. We still need to do a check for it, though. So it's going towards the spider. So let's do a physical check and call it difficulty 2.
Okay. Physical check, difficulty 2. It's D4s. And I get 2 D4s. Okay. Is this to see if it explodes and ignites? Is this what I'm checking for?
Well, no, to hit it effectively. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the lamp hits the spider in the middle of its 8 eyes, or however many eyes a spider has, and the lamp smashes open. The oil goes everywhere, and the flame just sets the spider alight. There's this screaming, burning spider, and yes, it is kind of jumping around the forest, starting to set other things on fire.
Okay.
So it is your turn.
I'll start backing away, but I'm not going to run off. I'm sort of, if I think there's a bit of a show developing, I might want to stick around and see what happens.
Okay, so singed hair, it's like a toxic kind of stench that's coming from this.
Yeah.
And the wail and the fidgeting of its body as it's trying to put out the flames. There's all kinds of weird salivary poison flying all over the show. So you're going to have to dodge that as difficulty 1 for a physical check.
Okay. Oh dear. Looks like I got splashed.
Okay. So it's a difficulty 3 poison.
Okay.
So hanging around is probably not a good idea.
I just like to, like to witness my creations
Okay, so a difficulty 3 poison. So you have to check immediately. Do a Constitution check.
Right.
And it's difficulty 3.
Okay, I've got no bonuses for Constitution. When I threw, oh, by the way, just to backtrack a bit, when I threw the lantern and got a hit,
Yeah.
do I fill anything in for that?
You got the physical for that?
That would be a physical, would it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right. So back to Constitution check.
Yep.
Difficulty 3.
Yep. Which
is a D6.
Correct.
Okay, this is where I might use one of my story value tokens, because I don't like the sound of this poison. So I can go from 1d6 to 2d6, or from 1d6 to 1d4.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Uh-oh. I didn't do it, and I didn't do it by enough to use another one to succeed, so I rolled a 3, so I don't like the sound of it.
Okay, so you need to roll a d6.
Okay. Against anything in particular?
It's on the poison table.
Poison table. I don't know what that poison.
If you haven't read that yet, on the.
I got a 1 this time.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully a 1 is good on the poison table.
So the character is crippled with severe stomach pain and may not perform any actions. They are considered occupied with regards to combat advantages. So you can still move, but you can't do any actions. So you can't attack or do anything like that.
Okay. Well, from what I can gather, the cocoon nest, etc., is all starting to catch fire.
Correct.
Is anything like going to be leaping out, 8 legs flaming, fangs gnashing?
Well, the longer you hang around, we may find out.
Well, am I rolling on the floor in agony, or am I?
No, you're just kind of like bent over.
I've had like one too many kebabs.
Yeah, this is a really bad. This stuff like hits you in the eye, and it's just all of a sudden you just
okay.
Oh, this is making me feel terrible.
Well, I suppose I'll withdraw, keep withdrawing.
Okay.
None of this fleeing, just withdrawing, so I can witness what's in front of me.
All right, so you're moving through the underbrush and foliage of the forest. And it doesn't take long before you kind of like, you can just see fire and you hear the squealing and so on and so forth, but you can't actually see the spider anymore.
Okay. But I can hear the very satisfying squeals of popping hatchlings and
well,
scorched,
yeah, well, you assume so, yes.
Yes, very good. Okay, well, is surrounding trees, foliage, etc., igniting as well? Have I created a fire hazard?
There are little fires.
Okay, is it a dry forest or is it a damp forest?
At this time of the year, it's sort of a bit in between. So there is the dry, dead foliage on the ground, but the upper canopy is quite damp.
Okay. So who knows? Good.
Yep.
Am I starting to feel a little bit less nauseous, or am I still under the full effects of the?
You're coming out of it, so now you will be able to you will be able to perform actions again.
Okay. I'm going to rummage around my backpack and look for a water bottle, or a wine flask, or an oil, a water bag, or something like that. Whatever the culture and the period demands, that would carry water.
Yep.
And sort of flush my affected areas to try and hasten recovery.
Okay. So you've already effectively ingested the poison, so it's in your system, but you wipe away any excess.
Excess, okay. But
Yeah.
as it was a splash attack.
Yeah.
Okay. What about just a quick swing as well, just to sort of dilute it?
Okay, so you can effectively
That's
do.
sort of my sort of, you know, first aid.
Yeah, so you can do a quick rest.
Is the fire still blazing, or?
Yeah, I mean you can see it through the trees. It's not a huge fire. It's like little pockets of fire.
Okay. So I don't need to worry about having to outrun a bushfire or anything like that.
No, you don't know. I mean, you can do a mental check to consider, you know, whether this is going to become a full-scale forest fire, and we'll call it difficulty 3.
Okay. I'll do anything to get a facet. No. Didn't do it.
That's what I like to hear.
I'm a facet floozy.
An XP junkie. All right. So you can do a quick rest. You're just basically going to use your water, and that will give you one. You will be able to do a Constitution check to heal 1 injury.
Okay.
The difficulty is the number of injuries you currently have.
Okay, so I got 1 bite from the hatchling.
Yep.
And I got hit by the poison.
So you got 2.
That's what I've received.
So the difficulty for this Constitution check is D4s.
And I only have 1 because my Constitution doesn't have any bonuses.
Yep.
And I failed the first one, so if I pass this one, I'll get a facet.
That's right.
No, and I failed miserably.
Okay.
Okay.
So you drink down the water, but it doesn't make you feel any better.
Okay. I'll try.
You've still got more water though.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. So, well, I suppose I'll try and was that what you call a short rest?
That's a quick rest.
A quick rest. Okay.
Yeah. So now
what are my rest options?
So you a quick rest is you kind of you finish the battle, you finish the scene, you've moved into the transition mode in terms of the way the storytelling that we talked about, and so now you can perform a quick rest and then go on a journey or go exploring or whatever. So rather than being round by round, it's now what do you want to do? You know, you're exploring now.
Well, okay. So now I've had the quick rest, and now I've got potential to do the next leg of my journey, so to speak.
The reason you're doing a quick rest is because you've got these spiders around, so you're not actually going to sit and camp here right next to the spider den.
So I'm sort of throwing. I mean, I'm thinking, have I killed all the spiders? Is there something? Would there be anything in the nest worthwhile to go back and see if I could, as far as treasure is concerned, or do I just get the hell out of Dodge? They're my 2 options.
Well, as Hankrin Ferne would say, roll it.
And I'm trying to picture in my head anything that I would have noticed that would have caught my eye when I was hanging in the cocoon.
Okay, so we can do recall, which is a mental check, and we'll call it difficulty 7.
Okay, that is a 20.
Correct.
Bastard. Okay, difficulty 7 on a mental. I have no bonuses. Okay.
So you need to pull one out here.
No, I've got a 19.
Okay, no.
Far from it. Okay. Don't remember nothing.
Nah! That place was devoid of even leaves.
What spiders?
What spiders? I don't remember anything.
Okay. I think I better cut my losses here and carry on into the woods, trying to retrace my path that I was trying to find, the path that I was on.
Okay.
I was so rudely bushwhacked by a spider.
Okay, so you are actually lost. So you can't tell which way is west, which way is east, etc. You know, the sun's not giving you any information because You know, there's just shafts of light that you're completely unaware of where you are. So essentially, you're going to be wandering, and we'll have to see what happens.
Okay. Right. I'll
So you've
carrying. I don't have my lantern anymore, obviously, so I'm going to cross that off.
Yep. So when we do the exploration, you've got attention, action, and movement. So you're obviously going to do movement. So you've got a choice of whether you can do something while you're moving, or you can pay attention, which is look around.
Well, as far as movement's concerned, I'll try. Can I see the sun?
You can you can see the sun. Yes.
How high in the sky is it?
It would be at its zenith. So.
Because I was going to say I'll walk towards the sun. But,
yeah.
If it's at its zenith.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard. Directly above me. Okay. I'll walk to the lightest horizon.
So, okay. All right. You are going to have to do a senses check difficulty 1 to determine which is the lightest horizon.
Okay. I am an elf, if that helps.
I'll give you a bonus dice.
I'm just like an elf in the woods. Come on.
I'll give you a bonus dice.
Oh, in true elf style.
Okay, so you determine.
I spotted a larch.
So you kind of determine the direction. Let's say it's west, where from the last town you were in. So that would have been that would have been west of where you were before you entered the forest. So you determine that that's the way you should be going.
Okay, well I'll head there in the vain hope of finding something familiar.
Okay, so you're moving now. Your attention. Are you going to look around, or are you going to sort of concentrate more on listening?
Well, after being pushed back by a spider, I will definitely not just be. I won't be whistling. Put it that way. I will try and use what senses are still sharp and keen, considering my poisoning.
Yep.
Whatever I've got left, I will try and utilize them to their full potential.
Okay.
As I softly tread through the forest.
Okay. All right. So you can do. All right. So. You get 1 bonus dice to any check using the sense. So you're looking around, right? And if it's calm and there are no threats or disturbances, you receive an additional 1 dice. So that's 2. So if I call for a senses check, you will get 3. And I am going to call for a senses check, and it's a difficulty of 2.
Okay, so that's 3 4-sided dice.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. You gave me a bonus there.
Yeah, that's because you were paying attention while you walk. If you were knitting something while you were doing it, you wouldn't get so many dice.
Yeah, well, knitters deserve everything they get. Oh, yes. And I get a facet. I passed.
All right, great. So you notice that there is... You're moving... As you're moving west, you come towards... what looks like a bit of an escarpment, but it actually turns out to be a structure that's just covered with growth and fallen trees and so on and so forth. So as you approach this thing, you realize it's actually what would have looked like a cave, but it's not. It's actually a doorway. There's no door. It's just an empty sort of open doorway.
Okay. Is it against a cliff?
What you thought was a cliff, but it's actually a structure.
Aha. Okay, so it's like, yeah, okay. Alright, I'll have a look.
Okay.
Have a look. I'll walk up very carefully. I'll look around. Is there anything outside guarding it?
So,
any evidence of somebody being there any sort of rubbish on the ground or a
Okay.
leftover
So
object.
do a mental check, difficulty 6.
Mental, no bonus. Difficulty 6 is a D12. 1. No.
No. So you can't ascertain if anything has disturbed any of the surrounding things. You don't really have a sense of tracking or anything like that.
Okay.
So as far as you're concerned, this is an abandoned place.
Okay. All right. If I only had a lantern, how dark is it?
It's
how
dark.
Is it through the entrance?
It's dark.
It's dark. Yeah. Okay. Are there, like, obviously there must be loose sticks and stuff on the ground
Yep.
of the.
Yep.
I'll fashion a makeshift torch
Okay.
out of a stick using some, I'll tear off some of my undergarment.
Okay.
What elves are like? I've always got those wispy sort of things you can turn into torches.
Right.
Using the trusty flint, I'll light it.
Okay.
And I'll stick it in the entrance and see if it illuminates
Okay.
anything.
So the torch is going to have a light source rating of 2. All right.
Okay. Yep. LSR2.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So you hold the torch behind you as you enter in, so that you're not blinded by the light in front of you.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you sort of see the stone corridor that's leading into a darker area. It's probably about 10 meters long. There's a lot of leaf litter and stuff on the floor, and it doesn't look like it's been disturbed other than by the wind.
Okay. The stonework, is it rough stonework or is it carved?
It's hewn stone, so it's stone blocks.
Okay, stone blocks. Do I see it that as if they're sort of like those annoying dwarves would have made the stone blocks?
Do an education check, difficulty 4.
Education. Oh, I get 2 bonus on that one. Difficulty 4 is a D8.
D8s.
So that's 2 D8s plus 2 D8s for my bonuses, correct?
Correct.
That's 4 D8s all up. And one of those was a D10. Hang on. No luck.
Okay. So you have now got no idea what culture would have built this.
Okay. Well, I'll look on the ground to make sure that everything looks even and smooth. I'm basically looking for any sort of trigger traps. I've been watching certain YouTube videos, and I sort of get a bit nervous when I enter a place like this.
All right. So you're still in the exploration mode. So
Yes.
your difficulty is 7, and you roll 3 dice. You get 3 extra dice to your senses.
Okay, difficulty 7. Thank you very much for that. Okay. 3 dice for the senses. 3 D20s. Oh, one of them's a 2.
You
So
can
I'm
use
gonna
a story value.
token.
Yep.
And turn it into a 1.
Yep.
So I've got 2 left.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got a success, and that's a sense. Do I, even though I use a story value token, do I still get a facet because I got a result?
Yes, always. Always on a success, so long as the dice are the right level, that's all.
Okay. That was
So-
consensus.
Out of the very corner of your eye, from the flickering light of your torch, you notice that there's a bit of a gap between the hewn stones. And as you hold the torch up to it and you look through, you actually see there's a metal mechanism, and it runs right around as a groove around this particular section of the passageway. Now, you know that it's
like a book BMG.
so you know that there's no actual mechanism in terms of a trigger. but you know that this is part of a mechanism, but you don't actually know what it's for.
So it's a metal. Can you? Sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you.
So you got a gap between the stones, right? And inside there you can in the floor, up the walls, and in the ceiling.
Yeah. Okay.
And in there you can see metal, like beams or something. You can't really determine what it is, but it's, you know, it's part of a mechanism.
Okay. Could be one of those wicked scythe traps. I'm thinking in my head. What could trigger it? Okay, I've got my trusty spade.
Yep.
As every gravedigger carries with them.
Yep.
Is that gap, like it's all sort of in one continuous line? It's not staggered or anything like that?
It's one continuous line, yep.
Okay. Alright. I'm going to, with the shovel, with the spade, sort of tap the flagstones in front of that gap.
Okay. So you already know, you've probably already stepped on one of those, you know, because you would have walked on that and noticed it in the corner of your eye. So you've already stepped on that, so you know it's not a trigger of any kind. So you've already ascertained that it's not actually a trap. Well, you know, of your idea of what a trap is, but you know that it's a mechanism of some kind.
Okay. I will, using the shovel, I'll sort of advance it past the gap, just so it sort of breaks the plane. Any reaction?
Well, you've already walked through the thing, so.
Oh, I thought I stopped before I walked into it.
No, you actually walked past and then doubled back and saw, you know, so that's how you noticed it. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that could be a dastardly. How wide is the corridor?
Corridor would be about 2 meters wide, about 2 meters high.
Okay. It would be possible to shove the I'm not saying I'm doing it, I'm just looking at it and just saying it would be possible to sort of shove the edge of my shovel into the gap. Is there any space to do
into
that?
the gap? Yes, you could. Absolutely, it would.
Sort of wedge it in there.
Yep.
So I think that's what I'm going to try and do.
Okay.
Thinking that it may block my exit.
I'm
going to shove.
Okay, so you shove the shovel in there. Now how much force do you want to apply? I mean, you want to really wedge it in there, or you just want to kind of stick it in there?
I want to put it in there so it actually holds. So if I do it at sort of shoulder height,
okay,
it'll be staying up.
So physical check difficulty 1.
Physical check, I get 1 bonus. Difficulty 1 is a D2, so 2 D2s. Oh, don't do it.
So you do wedge it in there, but you don't know that it's not wedged in far enough.
Okay, so it's wedged in. There goes.
It's in there, but you don't know that it's not wedged in far enough.
Okay, I'll just put wedge.
To test your metagaming skills.
Okay, thrusting the torch, I will continue.
Okay, so do a light source check. It's D4s.
Okay, it's LSR of 2.
Yeah, so you.
So how do you work this out?
It's essentially a D4. Okay. If you roll a 1, the torch goes out.
That's no good. Okay, so is it a single dice?
Single dice, yeah.
3.
So the torch continues to burn.
Flickering away.
Yeah. So you move further down this corridor, and it opens up into a larger space, which is again sort of cubical in shape. And there's a stairway down from where you are, and the cube is about 10 meters by 10 meters by 10 meters. So you're about halfway up, and the stairs go down into the middle of this cube, where there's sort of a raised dais, and in the center of that is a pedestal.
Okay. So it's a 10 by 10 cubicle room. There's a dais, a pedestal in the middle. Where's the stairs to get?
So you're on the stairs.
I'm on the stairs.
Going down towards this dais in the center.
Got it. Okay. Can I see anything on the dais?
Well, there's the pedestal.
Well, on the pedestal. Anything?
You don't see anything on the pedestal from here.
Okay, so it is empty.
Yeah.
Okay. I suppose I'll just keep gingerly walking down the stairs.
Okay.
I'll have my longsword out at this stage.
Okay, so you draw your longsword, you've got the torch behind you, you're walking down the stairs. As you're walking down the stairs, you kind of look down the sides, and you notice that there's actually like muddy water surrounding sort of on the ground. Now, you can see bits and pieces of branches and things sticking out of it, so you don't assume that it's very deep.
Okay. Muddy water. So is it? Does it? If I'm on the stairs, is the muddy water coming up to some of the stairs?
No. So the stairs are above the water, and they get to the dais, which is in the middle. And so the dais is about a meter, you would assume, off the floor, if and the water is about half a meter deep.
So basically the dais is surrounded by water.
Yes, but you assume it's about half a meter deep because of the branches and things that are sticking out of it.
Sticking in there,
yeah.
Okay, and this, and now that how far away from the dais am I?
So you're at the bottom of the stairs, and the dais is, you basically will step onto it, and in the middle of the dais is this pedestal.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Okay.
I'll step onto the dais.
All right, and you do so, and it remains a dais.
As daises go.
As daises go, it remains one.
Okay, and the pedestal. Does it look like it's a pedestal that would hold some sort of sculptural object, or does it look like a something that has a practical function?
Do an education check, difficulty 2.
Okay, that's D4s, and I get 2 dice because I have a bonus of +2. No.
Okay, so you have no idea what this pedestal is actually for.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm looking to see if there's any sort of physical scuff marks or any sort of residue, like sparkly powder or...
Okay, so up the sides of the pedestal, there's a lot of like moss and usual detritus kind of, growing on it, and water damage and so on and so forth. The actual top, the flat top of it, the pedestal, is very clean. It's almost like polished marble. So it looks like it's completely untouched by the environment.
Okay. Does this sort of room that I'm in, the cubicle room, have a very sort of humid sort of
It's
feeling?
got... So yeah, you can't really ascertain whether there would be any additional water coming in through here.
Yeah, but I've got a feeling in the bones that this is going to be a bit of an aquatic sort of room. Is the pedestal, the top of the pedestal? You said it's very smooth.
Yeah.
Is it made of stone?
Yeah, it's marble.
It's a marble. Okay, marble.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. With the tip of the sword, I'm just going to see if I can touch it. There's nothing sort of invisible sitting on top of it. I'll just sort of touch it to make sure that...
Okay, so you touch it with the sword, and why are you here?
Okay, so this time, did I hear the voice come from around the room, or is it just piercing my head?
Do a mental check, difficulty 2.
D4s. Yes, finally, I passed.
There was no echo, so it's in your mind.
It's in my head. It's in my mind. Okay. Then in my mind, I will answer Angus Beef.
So you're answering Angus Beef. Okay. Where hast thou come from?
The lair of the spider.
Is your microphone out of the way there? I can barely hear you.
Sorry, I'm trying to do a funny voice. I'm coming from the lair of the spider.
Okay. Define spider.
Define spider. 8 legs, furry.
Ah, the Octaronov.
But it is no more. The Octaronov, as you allude to.
Vile creatures.
Vile creatures.
The spawn of Tentala.
The spawn, this vile creature and its spawn.
It is the spawn of Tentala.
Consumed by the flames of purity.
You know of the flames of purity.
I lit them.
And when you say I lit them, an image appears in front of you of a large soldier in red armor. And he's got his helmet is covering most of his face. You can kind of see his eyes, you know, through the little slits, but his mouth is uncovered from the helmet, but he's got this huge beard that kind of goes all the way down to his waist. And he's quite rotund and this red armor, it's kind of like a weird enameled plate. And he goes, I love people who enjoy the spirituality of fire.
Jolly good.
What brings you to my home?
I come seeking the flame.
We have much flame. And he kind of like moves his hand like this, and a whole lot of sort of torches start lighting on the walls around where you hadn't perceived them before.
And I'll genuflect on the ground and say, Master, welcome an apostle into your fold.
Ah, apostles. It has been a long time since I have any of those. Tell me, Angus Beef, how did you find my home?
I was led here by my senses. I looked upon the sky, and it led me here.
Ah, the fire in the fire above the sky leadeth you to my home. It is indeed a great day, because I have been here for millennia without apostles. And so I shall allow you to become one of my apostles. But you must first complete 3 trials. And with that, everything goes dark.
Okay.
So you are now, where you are, it feels very different. So you don't have the smell of rotting wood and wet dog anymore. Your torch is no longer lit. And the air is quite stale. But you're in complete darkness.
Okay.
So you have dark vision, don't you?
I'm an elf. So does that mean I do?
I think so.
I don't know if it's just elves or dwarves, but
so yeah, I think you do.
I can look it up. Hang on a sec. Resources, character, fantasy settings, species. I'm using the 7D website just so viewers understand. Sleeping spell immunity. Common and Elvish languages.
No, you don't.
I don't. No. Doesn't look like it.
No.
Okay, so I'm in the dark.
Yep.
Okay, I'll reach for my handy flint and steel.
Okay.
And strike a spark and see if it sort of illuminates anything.
Okay, so the brief spark that it strikes, do a senses check, difficulty 3.
That's a D6. I got a 2. I'm going to use another story value token, which gives me 1 left.
Okay.
I'll turn that 2 into a 1.
All right. So in front of you, you briefly see that you're standing in a room that has 3 closed doorways. There is some sort of emblem on each door, but you couldn't perceive what it was because the light is now gone.
Yeah. Okay. Is my torch still in my hand?
Yes, you still have your torch, yeah.
Okay. I'll try and light my torch again.
Okay. So you successfully light your torch, and you need to do a light source rating check to make sure there's enough fuel left.
Straight away. Yeah.
Yep.
D4. Yes, I'll roll another 3.
Yep. So again, the torch is burning. In front of you are the 3 doors, and there are 3 emblems on the doors. Okay. One has the head of a horse, one has the head of a goat, and one has the head of a bear.
Horse, goat, bear. Any other things of note on the door?
Other than that, the doors are completely identical. They each have like a bar you can pull to open the door. There's no perceived lock or anything of any kind.
Okay. I'll approach the goat door.
Okay.
Does it look like the door would open if I pushed it?
Well, it looks like an ordinary door, so you would assume that it would open.
Okay.
And it pulls open.
Okay. Pull that open.
All right. So in front of you is a passageway, okay, where the floor is completely made of ice and the walls and the ceiling are all made of ice.
Okay. I'm going to go step back.
Okay.
Does the door just shut?
No, it remains open.
Remains open. Okay. I'm going to go to the horse door.
Okay.
Open that.
So you pull on the horse door, and it has a floor, a wall, and a ceiling that is made completely of stone.
Okay. And I'll go to the... Is it a bear? Did you say?
Correct.
Yeah, I'll go to the bear door, open the door, see what's behind
So in front of you is basically walls of fire, and the floor is fire, and there's fire in the ceiling.
Okay. Do I feel heat from that fire?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll break off a small part of the torch that I'm holding, the bottom part, and I'll throw it into the fiery passage. And does it catch fire?
It's completely incinerated.
Okay. That's probably not the good one to go down then. Okay, I will go to the horse door.
Okay.
And with the stone floor, that's the one with the stone floor, and walk down the stone floor.
Okay, so you step through the doorway, and you're back at the dais, and the guy is just barely aching laughing there, and he says, "You chose poorly."
Yeah, I was thinking that could have been the case.
You call yourself someone who wishes to be my acolyte, and yet your spirituality is lacking.
Take pity, Master.
Okay.
Please give a wretched...
Seeing as it has been millennia since I have even been within the proximity of a soul such as yours, we shall give you one more chance at the first test, and you disappear and are once again in complete darkness.
Okay.
Okay, do a light source rating to check if your fuel is enough.
Yes. Oh boy, I'm getting worried now. Oh dear. I rolled a 1. Hang on a sec. I might just have to go AFK for a sec.
Okay.
Can I just wait for a minute?
Yeah, sure. So for those who are watching the stream while we're waiting for Angus Beef to return, this is the weekly Patreon game for my Patreon supporters. All levels are invited to join the game. However, the number of games you can play in a month is determined by the support level that you're at. So if you're interested, check out patreon.com/7DSystem. You can also check out the website 7dsystem.com. There's a variety of downloads there to find character sheets and also the system reference sheets and a beginner's starting guide that's for players. If you are a patron, you're going to play in one of these games, you'll also find other little bits and pieces of resources that you'd need there, like a list of species, list of weapons, and list of character archetypes, of which there are 12. So this game is brought to you by the patrons who support me, and I thank them very much for their generous donations that happen on a monthly basis. Once a month, there's also a patron hangout where we discuss 7D system and role-playing game rules and things like that. Where the system is at. Currently, we are running the version 0.9 rules of 7D system, which is available to patrons at all levels. Okay. Right, so you're back.
I'm back, yes.
So you failed your light source rating.
Yes, so I'm in the dark.
Which was 2. So your choice is to continue on in the darkness or to use a story value token to re-roll.
I will use the story value token, my last one. I can't do this in the dark. I rolled a 3 this time.
Okay. So thankfully your torch sputters back into life and you are once again in front of the same 3 doors. They are all closed. The horse, the goat, and the bear.
Well, I'll open the horse. Is it the stone corridor? Same as before?
Correct.
Goat is ice?
Correct.
Same as before? And the bear. Fire.
Yep.
Well, it's all about the flame. I suppose I'm just going to grit my teeth, take a step, plunge into the fire.
Okay. Alright, so you take like 500 damage. No.
How many HP was that?
So you step through into the flames, you feel the searing heat, and you take 1 injury.
Yes.
You are now in another room where there is no exit. Okay. Your clothing is smoldering, and your hair is a bit singed. And you hear the voice in your mind, You chose wisely on the first of 3 tests. This is the second. And so you see materializing in front of you the spider from before, and it is still on fire.
Okay. Is it a phantasmal spider or is it a physical spider?
If you would think it's a physical spider, yes.
Physical spider. Okay.
But I mean, it kind of like
Right.
just emerged into existence.
Okay. I will basically say you are just a victim of the flame. Be out of my sight, and I'll with a sword towards it.
Okay. So its mandibles open up as it comes stomping towards you. All right.
Back to the flames, demon.
All right. It counts as charging. So it's
Damn.
3. And it's raged. So we'll make that 5 as D6s. And it fails to hit you.
Oh, really? Sucked in, spider.
So you manage to kind of just miss as it's like mandibly mouth.
Okay. Well,
I like the word mandibly.
Well, the only thing that such an attack deserves is a longsword in the thorax.
Okay. All right. So you get the base. You are smaller than the opponent, so that makes 2. The opponent attacked.
Raged. Yeah.
So that's 4, and the opponent has 3 injuries.
Okay.
So that is 5.
Is 5, which puts me in a
And is
D6.
unarmed, and is unarmed, which is 6 as
unarmed.
D4s.
D4. So that's for my longsword. I get 2 dice. And I've got no story value tokens. Yes, I got a hit. Very nice.
All right. So we just do a protection.
Yep.
It fails to protect, so you cut it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you've froze my material.
So it has to do an emotion check of difficulty 3 because there's 3 injuries. So difficulty 3 is D6.
Attack at it, or like
You can chase after it and attack it, but it's got nowhere to go because it's an enclosed space.
Yep. I'm gonna have to send this thing back to the fiery pits because it doesn't have, or does it climb up onto the ceiling? I don't know what is it.
It's trying to get away from you. So at the moment, it's got to the base of the wall. Its next movement would be up the wall.
So it's just a whole bunch of 8 legs going crazy, right?
Yeah, it's just trying to get the hell away from you. It's moved. You're behind it.
It's not going to attack me in response.
No, it's trying to get away.
I've just got a free range
Yeah.
to chop it to tiny little spider bits.
Yeah. Next round, it does get to do another emotion check to see if it returns.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, is it time to attack again?
Yes.
I
Yep.
basically chase after it.
So you can charge it. So it's rear attack aware. So you got base, rear attack aware. So that's 4. Your smaller makes 5.
5.
It has 4 injuries, so that makes 7.
Yeah. So I'm in Happyville.
You're in Happy Land.
Oh, yes, I got 2 ones, but I know only 1 counts.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
no hit.
don't to mark your
Completed my 2nd rank in longsword.
Okay. Now, that can constitute now that can constitute a coup de grace because it's got 4 injuries. You can actually kill it with that swipe, but it's up to you as to whether you kill it with a swipe with that one attack or you would want to continue attack. You basically just drive the longsword through in the middle of its thorax, and and you immediately are back at the dais again, and the guy is once again belly aching, and he says, "How could you fail even the second challenge?"
Dang.
You wish to be my acolyte, and yet it eludes you that I enjoy. And he just like waves his arms, and all the torches and everything become this huge inferno of fire. Fire! And then everything kind of like settles back down to what it was.
Blazing spider.
Do you wish to have a final chance? Or die?
Yes, my lord. Can I ask you a question?
The ultimate railroad. Yep.
Yeah. I love railroad DMs. They're the best. I've completed 2 facets. Sorry, not 2 facets. I've completed 2 ranks of longsword, so my bonus now goes to +2. Is that right?
So no, well you get 2 dice from those ranks, and then if you have a bonus,
Yeah.
you'd be rolling 3 dice. 4 dice, sorry, because you get base +2 +1.
I'm an elf, so that gives
Yep.
me +1 on the sword.
Yep. So you get base
And then
plus the 2 ranks
2
plus the
ranks.
1 bonus, so you'd have 4 dice.
Hang on. So, oh, okay. So it'll be the base
Yeah, because you always get 1 dice,
and the ranks.
and then the ranks, and then the bonus. Yep. So you'd have 4 dice in
4
total.
dice now.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
What is your
All right,
decision?
so yes. Master, one more. Pity this pitiful elf.
I already do. And you once again are in a dark room. It's totally pitch black. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
However, in front of you, you see sort of pockets of flame appear, and they kind of illuminate the silhouette shape of a giant spider. And you hear the familiar.
Okay, so he wasn't happy when I killed it. Perhaps he wants me to surrender my feeble body to the fangs of the flaming spider. This is confusing. I've had a few beers. I'm just an elf.
You can do a mental check, difficulty 2.
Okay.
That's what I call a beer roll.
Yes. But I haven't got any story values left. Come on, baby. No.
No.
That's what I call a beer result. That's a 4. Okay. So, I'm back in the room with that horrible spider.
Yeah, so there's you just see like pockets of flame, and that's kind of like orienting you as to where the spider is.
Okay. Are these pockets of flame, are they torches? Are they braziers?
No, it's the
Are they-
burning from when you set it alight back in the
When I set it alight. Okay, so
Yeah.
is there any way I can harness that fire and use it against the spider?
You could light your torch.
Okay. I've got to do another one of those LSR rolls again.
Yep.
Oh dear, that's why I get a bit nervous. Oh, no. Roll
So the torch is useless now.
Yes. Yeah. Scratching the torch off. Okay. I suppose what I'm going to do is walk up to the spider, well, close to the spider, and just hold my sword to my. I'll basically just present a target for the spider to attack.
Okay. So you can essentially be the target is considered incapacitated, so you're just standing there waiting to be attacked. So which basically gives the spider a a D2 attack against you. So its combat score would be 7.
Yes.
And it does. It basically bites you in the face. And so you take 1 injury from that.
Okay, I'm up to 4 now.
Yep. And you are... you need to do a poison check.
I'm good at this.
So it's Constitution difficulty 3.
That's D6. And I rolled a 6, so I don't pass.
No. So we need to consult the poison table again.
And get another...
And we're going to roll a D6 again.
A 6.
A 6. The character immediately feels the effects of fatigue as the poison drains their fortitude. You receive 1 fatigue point.
Oh, okay.
So just to explain again, fatigue means you need 1 success per fatigue point. Over and above the successes you normally require. So normally you would require 1 success. You now require 2 to actually do something.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay.
It is now your turn.
Have I been transported back to the room?
Nope.
Okay. I'm starting to think this was a bad idea. Okay. Is the spider sort of wrapping me up in web, or is it just attacking
No, it's just
me?
sort of coming and just bit you in the face. You kind of reeling back now. You've got you're sort of stumbling back, and you've got a big gash where this thing has attacked you with its fang, and there's blood and ooze and poison and things dripping in your eyes.
Okay, I'm going to say, hold up my sword. It's sort of a something for it to focus on, but also a little bit of a barrier to say, obey the flame. Obey the flame.
So you're holding the sword in front of you. Do a senses check, difficulty 2.
No bonuses, but I need 1 more pass to get a completed rank. Difficulty 2 is a D4. I got a 3.
Okay. So that's you. You're not attacking. You're just doing that, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to just communicate with it to tell it to obey.
Okay. You can try an emotion check to try and intimidate it, and the difficulty is 7.
Okay, it's a D20. With emotion, I have no benefits. Oh, I rolled a 2, but I haven't got any story value tokens.
It's like the worst feeling in the world. All right, so the spider attacks again, and this time bites you on the shoulder. So just do a protection value check.
Okay, I'm padded armor.
Yep.
And that only gives me a bludgeoning thing, so that's basically 1 base plus 1 for the armor. It gives me a 2. Is that right?
Yes.
But I'm fatigued. Does that have any effect?
Only when you roll.
Okay, so if I pass, I have to then do it again.
Correct.
So that's a D12.
Correct.
Oh, I actually got a 1. Can you believe that? So that means I've actually got to do it.
You actually have to roll another 1 in order for it to work, yes.
No.
No.
I'm afraid I rolled a 9. That.
So, unfortunately, even though that was a fantastic roll, it was not a fantastic roll. So, you take another injury.
Oh dear. I'm on 5 injuries now.
And you need to do a Constitution check, difficulty 3.
Okay, that's a D6. No bonuses on my Constitution. I rolled a 4. So I failed.
The character's vision blurs. Yeah, sorry. Now you got to roll a d6 to see what happens with the poison. Sorry, I thought that was the poison roll.
That's a 1. So
okay.
The nausea. Okay.
Yeah, so you're crippled with severe stomach pain and may not perform any actions. They are considered occupied with regards to combat advantages. So you can't attack, but you can move around.
Okay. So this spider's just going for me.
That's right.
Okay. I'm just gonna. I don't think there's a lot I can do about it anymore. I'm just gonna have to go with the flow. And,
okay.
Let the spider finish me off like the flames would have finished me off.
Okay. So do another you kind of throwing in the towel, and you're looking a bit despondent. So you're looking down at your hands. As you're holding your longsword, do a senses check, difficulty 2.
It's a D4. That fell out of the box. No, I rolled a 4.
Okay, so the spider attacks again. And fails on 3d2s.
Now he knows how I feel.
That's right. Okay. So he tries to bite you and it's like... Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not really putting up a fight. You know,
okay,
I'm
yeah.
Letting the spider have its way with me,
so
to speak.
All right. So, you've done the senses check twice already. So, same senses check, difficulty 2, but you get an extra 2 dice now.
Okay. 4 D4s, 3 D4s. Yes, I've got a success just with those 2.
Okay.
Do I have to roll it again because I'm fatigued?
Sorry?
Do I have to roll it again because I'm fatigued?
You got 2 successes, did you?
No, I actually, one of them fell out. And, I'll just roll the 3rd one now.
Yeah.
1 success out of those 3 dice.
Okay, so no, you fail.
Okay, do I get to roll 1 success? My original dice, sorry, when I said the 3 dice that I had to roll, one of them fell out onto the floor.
Yeah.
Out of the 2 that stayed in the box, 1 was a 1. And then I rolled the 3rd one that fell on the floor back, and it was a fail.
Yeah.
So, all up I rolled a single 1.
That's correct. You need to roll 2 successes.
Okay. Out of those 3 dice.
Correct. If you only had 1 dice, you get to roll again. Yeah.
Oh, then I thought you actually, if you got a success, then you roll again. Okay.
No.
Got it.
It's only if you've got the 1 dice, because you got to have at least a chance. You know.
Yep. Okay.
So, for instance, if you had 3 dice and you had 4 fatigue, you would roll 3 dice. You'd need 3 successes, and you'd roll another dice to get the 4th.
Yep.
But you'd roll it separately.
Yep.
Okay. So the spider attacks again. And it's successful. So you need to do a protection value check.
I beg your pardon?
A protection value. So, sorry, it's combat score protection value of 2, which is D12s.
Yep. No.
Okay. So, again, you take another injury. How many injuries are you on now?
That's 6.
Okay. The thing we haven't been doing is a motion check, so you would need to do an emotion check now, but first you've got to do a constitution check. Difficulty 3.
D6. I rolled a 2, but I don't have anything to... So it's a fail.
Okay. So, once again, you are poisoned. Roll a d6.
A 3 this time.
So a 3 is a sudden pain explodes in the character's heart. They writhe in pain, grasping their chest, which is considered a complete action for the next turn. And they are inflicted with a single injury. They are considered to have lost their wits and with regards to combat advantages for the next turn only. So that makes you 7 injuries, is that correct?
Yes.
So you are now unconscious.
Oh.
So you hear a belly-aching laugh in your mind. And eventually, after a few hours, you kind of come out of it. And you heal 1 injury, so you're at 6. And you are lying on the dais with this guy standing over you, looking at you.
Okay. And I'll...
As you kind of like lift your arm to wipe your brow, you smell and you perceive oil all over your hands.
Uh-oh.
And you recognize the fact that that's the oil that you would have got on your sword and everything from when you were attacking the spider, from when you doused it with oil earlier.
Uh-huh.
So that's what the senses check was for.
Okay.
So he's belly achingly laughing and says, "I shouldn't even let you leave my house."
Take pity, master. I'm just a grave-digging elf, seeking the flame. Take pity.
"I take no pity!" And he basically casts a fireball in your direction. And you feel yourself being immolated. And you reappear back in the same room. And you see the spider appear in front of you. Again. But this time, you are actually on fire.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, what... Am I still on 6 injuries?
You don't feel it burning. It's very bizarre.
Okay.
But you are essentially on fire.
Okay. Alright, so I'll do one of these and see if anything shoots out of my fingers towards the spider.
So there's like a lick of flame that kind of goes in that direction.
Okay. Is the spider looking particularly slippery?
Well, it's the same. It's in the same condition it was when you last saw it, but it's a little bit. It's not advancing towards you. It's kind of its eyes are kind of all sparkling with the flames that are in front of it. It doesn't really know what to do with this situation.
Okay, pull out the longsword.
Yep.
Run the hand up it.
Okay.
Burst into flame.
Yeah, so the longsword is now also on fire.
Okay. Right, and I'll just start advancing towards the spider.
So as you're advancing towards the spider is basically backing away.
Okay. I'll just keep advancing until I back it into a corner.
Okay. So it backs into the corner and it starts to walk backwards up the wall.
Can I reach it with my flaming sword?
Yeah, you can hit it if you want to. Yeah.
Just to see if the flame will pass from the sword onto the spider.
So you as you sort of swipe the sword over the spider's carapace, it does ignite all the oil that's on the spider. Even though there were like patches that were burning, this now really sets it on fire. And it too becomes immolated in flame. And you feel a certain satisfaction with what is actually happening.
I'll say, praise the flame. Praise the flame.
You feel that as the spider is being injured, you are being healed. So the last 3 injuries from the spider heal you 3 injuries.
I like it. Okay, so I'm down to 3.
So
Okay.
the spider eventually drops off the wall, and just like a quivering, you know, its legs are kind of doing this as the final life burns out of the spider.
Just a pile of carbon.
And you just hear a belly aching laugh echoing through your mind.
Okay. Master, have I pleased you?
No. And you basically, once again, you're in a completely dark space. But you are no longer on fire.
Please. Okay. I don't have a torch. I'm in the darkness. All I've got is my flint and steel, my longsword. 3 injuries. Okay.
And in the darkness with you, you hear a small voice, which you assume is a child, saying, "Who's there?"
Fear not the darkness.
Sorry, what did you say?
Fear not the darkness. I am the flame.
Okay, so then you're going to strike your flint?
Yep.
Okay, so it sparks again. Roll a senses difficulty 2.
Paused.
We'll remove the fatigue point as well as part of that immolation heal.
Oh, okay, great. Yay, I passed. I got a 1.
Okay, so standing in front of you is a little girl in a white dress. And that's all you see. You can't determine what species she is, but she's humanoid.
Okay. Child. Seek you the flame.
What flame?
Flame that removes the night.
It's always night here.
The night is dark and filled with terrors.
Are you one of those terrors?
No, I am the flame.
Or am I one of those terrors?
Can I lead you to the flame?
Did you hear what I said?
One more time.
I said, or am I one of the terrors?
Child, what are you doing in the dark?
This is where I live.
What do you seek?
She doesn't answer.
Is there something you crave?
And she doesn't answer, but you can feel that she's moving around.
Do you like the dark? Do you like the flame?
So right next to your ear, you hear her go, "I love the dark."
Okay.
You feel that special kind of tingling up your spine.
Creepy. Okay, I'll say, step back, beast of darkness. And
I'm not a beast.
you seek the darkness, not the flame.
So from behind you, you hear her say, "I don't seek anything." And then from in front of you, "I might be seeking something." And then from the side, "What are we seeking?" And then from the other side, "Flesh."
Okay, was that the same voice 4 times, or was it 4 separate voices?
3 of them were the same voice, and the 4th one was clearly not.
Okay. It's I'm in pitch darkness, right? All I can
That's
do
right. You
is-
can't see anything.
Man. Okay. I'm gonna slowly try and back away from the very scary voice.
So the very
And
scary,
hopefully-
the very scary voice is on your right. There's the girl that's in
Yeah.
front of you and then there was the one behind you, and then there's one to the left. Well, that's where you've heard the voice. So it might be like 4 different people, or it may be the same person. You don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's where you heard the 4 voices.
Yeah.
So when you say you were backing away, you're backing away from the right, and so you're going to the left. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hoping I'll back up against a wall of some sort.
Okay. So you, as you move to the left, you feel yourself trodden. You know, you've tread on something, and it's like a little whimper. That's my foot.
Okay. I'll say, light the room so I don't tread on your feet. Little girl, little thing.
How would we do that? Says a voice to your other side.
Why don't we just eat it?
That's
How
not nice.
I need another bottle.
I need something more hardcore.
Right. Okay. Do you have light a torch, light a brazier, light a fire?
What is fire?
It's what we
Fire.
cook with.
Yeah, light a fire for cooking.
We can
Child.
cook it.
Is it eatable? Can we eat it? I don't know.
So, am I still backing up against the wall?
Yeah, you're up against the wall.
Okay.
So you've got these 3 childlike voices that are sort of, standing in front of you now, and this other voice.
Okay. I say, enough of the games. Show yourselves. Strike a flame and show yourselves.
All right. So you see a glow start to happen. It's like a faint, very faint. It's like something being lit by moonlight through a cloud, and you see these sort of little girls appear. There's 3 of them. And this 4th shape is like the same shape, but it's effectively a dark version of that. So it's like it's inverted.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it's slowly becoming visible to you.
I'll say, I can almost see you, children. Keep trying.
Trying to do what?
Show me who you are.
You know who we are.
Who are we?
Yes, tell me, who are you? And what are you doing in this room? And where is the flame?
The flame is within you.
Within me?
Don't be giving it the answers.
I'll feel my skin. Am I covered in sort of a...
Okay, I'm going to do do a mental check, difficulty 2.
Okay. D4. Oh, I won. I got a
All right. So the moment you hear her say it's within you, you kind of think towards the fact that you actually have remembered a fireball spell.
That old thing.
It's beer o'clock.
Uh-huh. Okay. Children, like to play a game?
We love games. We hate games.
Just stand side by side in a sort of little group in the middle of the room.
This is going to be fun.
Ah, he's trying to do something.
And especially you, Grumpy. You stand right in the middle.
I don't like this guy.
All right, so you let's cast this fireball, shall we? Okay, so it's a level 2 spell, D4,
Yes.
so you get a single D4 because you're energy level 1.
Okay. If only I had. And do I get a single D4 energy level 1? Yes. No mental bonuses or anything. It's just plain 1 dice.
1 dice.
Okay. Try again.
There we go. Fate is determined. Fate is determined that this should go your way, and the fireball just smacks into all 4 of them, and you immediately are in front of the dais, and the guy is now rolling on the ground laughing. That's the best way to defeat those idiots.
Yeah, well, I thought of it all myself,
I've given you so many chances, and I've basically let you win. So, yeah, you can be one of my acolytes.
Well, thank you, Master. Thank you.
So you then, he pulls an ornate carved stone out from under his tunic, and he basically hands it to you on a flat palm.
Okay. I'll take it.
So long as you hold this, I will be with you.
Thank you, Master.
And he basically disappears, and everything goes back to this cold, dank, horrible smelling cesspool.
Okay. Now we have another person in the group.
Hi, how's it going? Is that Corey?
Yeah, I'm Corey.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, Corey.
He woke me up, and then I saw my email, and I was like, "Oh, I'll come watch."
All right. So we're just
a little guy.
Yeah, he's my little 4-month-old son.
Hello.
Say hi. His name's Kale.
Hello, Kale.
Can't sleep, huh? I know the feeling.
Okay, so you are now in this, what you assume is a temple to this guy, yeah, you are standing on this dais, and everything is as it was.
Okay. I think I better cut my losses. I'm gonna try and get back out the way I came.
Okay.
Remembering my shovel is stuck in the wall.
Yep. So you climb back up the stairs, and you see that the wall had partially attempted to close, but your spade had, prevented the entire maneuvering of this thing. So you're able to climb through and pull your shovel out, and the wall seals up this temple.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'll go out into the daylight, a little bit battered and bruised.
So you're a bit blinded by the shards of sunlight coming through the canopy. You obviously have now a renewed sense of haste that needs to be made towards the west. So you continue on your way. Do you want to? Is there anything particular you want to do, like listening or looking as you travel?
I actually want to look at what I was given by the Master of the Flame.
Okay. So it's the design and carving is quite intricate and quite ornate. And there has been, it's almost like it's inlaid some, well, you wouldn't really know, but it's out of game or meta game. It's a volcanic, there's a volcanic rock that's been inlaid into, you know, a normal stone effectively.
Okay. Harmless. Do I have any sort of innate feelings about what I should do with this stone?
Do an education check, difficulty 2.
D4's my favourites. Education, I get 2 bonus dice. I should rock this one. Oh, I don't know. Shit.
Hey, how's it going?
Greetings.
Can't hear you.
Good evening. I can hear.
Oh,
Can
I
you hear
can't.
us?
I can't. All right. So you continue. Sorry, what did you roll? It was education, correct?
Yeah, that was an education check.
Yeah. So you continue to examine the rock, and you begin to understand that this is symbological magic,
Okay.
in part.
So what do I need to do to be able to comprehend symbol magic?
So you would actually need to study the symbols on the actual thing itself. But by doing that, you may actually erase what's on it.
Okay. And this sort of research is done during
Rest periods.
between adventure time. Yeah.
Well, during rests, yeah.
Yeah, during rests.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Well, that I'll pop it in a safe place within my
Okay.
garments.
So you continue on through the forest, and as you are continuing, you get the sense that you're being followed.
Fantastic. Okay. I've had quite an adventure in this forest. Really looking forward to some grassland. Okay. I'll pretend that I don't notice that they're following me, but then do the old switch and bait and duck behind a bush, and then look and see if I can get a glimpse of what's following me.
Okay, so do a physical check, difficulty 3.
That's a D6, and I get a bonus. That's 2 D6s. Yes. Okay, I got a 1.
Okay, so you've ducked behind a tree, and whatever's following you becomes quite close, and you notice that there are actually multiple of these things, and they are larger spiders, and there are 5 of them.
Okay. Are they? How do spiders follow you? They must be smelling you or sensing vibration.
Very carefully.
Yeah, yeah. Are they? How far away are they when I notice them?
The nearest one is probably just behind the tree that you're behind.
Boy. Okay. Time to use that stone. Sure. What should I do? I think that I'm going to stand quite still.
Okay.
I haven't got a view of me. I'm going to try not to make any sound or vibration.
So this all was taken care of by the physical check, so you are remaining still, and they are continuing to walk past in the direction that you were headed. But they're kind of spreading out now because they're trying to figure out where you went.
A little bit confused. Okay.
So it's up to you as to how long you want to wait.
Well, I don't like the odds, and I'm on 3 injuries already, so I'm quite patient.
Okay.
Quite patient.
So you essentially wait around until you can't see or hear them anymore, and you then, you know, slowly and cautiously begin to move on along the way that you were.
Okay.
So after about another hour or two, you know that it's heading towards dusk, and you begin to see that the trees are beginning to thin out, and you're getting towards the edge of this forest. Do a senses check, difficulty 3.
It's a D6. Senses is 1 dice for me, and I failed. That's. I don't think I passed 1 senses check tonight.
Okay. So you continue on towards the edge of the forest, and as you're about to emerge from the forest, a large spider drops in front of you from the canopy above.
Fantastic. Okay.
However, you hear a voice from behind you. Duck!
I duck.
And you just see an arrow fly straight into the spider, and the spider wails in pain and sort of backs off and heads a bit to the right.
Okay. I'll. Can I see anything else in front of me, like spider-wise?
No, the spider's kind of moving off to the side.
Okay. Okay. I'll say without even turning around. Thank you, friend.
What on earth are you doing in this forest?
I'm lost. Can you help me? I need to get out.
Clearly. So you recognize that this is a female voice, and you feel a hand on your shoulder, sort of, you know, reassuring you and allowing you to stand up.
Okay, well, I'll stand up.
Okay.
Face my saver.
So there's a female elf standing nearby, and she looks fully decked out in hunting gear. So she's got all the kind of camouflage, and, you know, her face is painted and all this sort of thing. And you would know, obviously, being an elf, that in elf culture she would be like a scout or a hunter.
Okay. Okay. I'll ask her name, her tribe, the usual. I'll break into the elf parlance and custom, and try and, you know, impress her.
All right, so she says, my name is Ileana, and I occasionally come into these woods to hunt the spiders for the poisons that they contain to use in, you know, our weaponry.
Yes, well, I have encountered, well, 6 or more spiders in my short time in the forest. You must be kept very busy.
So she looks you up and down and says, well, you don't look like the kind of person who should be hunting in these parts.
I was lost. I was lost.
But now I'm found.
I'm very grateful that.
So
your ability.
You should come with me to the village. It's not far from here. And so she basically motions towards towards one of the hills nearby. And as she's motioning that way, with the other hand, she pulls out this huge dagger and just throws it behind you. And you hear a squeal. You got to keep your eye on those things.
Without even turning around, I know she's just dispatched another 8-legged monstrosity.
So, you know, she just sort of quickly sort of sidesteps you, goes behind. You can just hear the squelching noise as whatever she's just thrown is being removed from the target. Whether you want to turn around or not is up to you. And then she sort of comes back and sort of pats you on the back as she walks past and continues and says, "Come, I'm sure you are hungry."
Yes, will there be lembas?
Will there be what?
Lembas bread.
Yes, there will be. And that is, as they say, it.
Thank you for saving me. I was so, I didn't know what I was